G'day guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wildkard. Thank you for watching the Wildkard Rugby Show. This is Super Rugby Review. This is the Western Force versus the Fijian Drua. Yes, another week where the Super Rugby trying to speed up the game by removing the official TMO review process has led to another incorrect decision when it comes to the try. This time, a Western Force try that was clearly knocked on going into the try was given to the Western Force. As you can see here, the Western Force player was juggling the ball, going into contact with a Fijian player into the tackle of a Fijian player, and the ball was knocked back out of the hand in the process of making the tackle into another Western Force player who ran through for the try. And in the law book, if you're juggling the ball and you have not recovered it before touching another player, it is a knock on. Once the ball touched another player and you didn't have full possession of the ball, it is a knock on. And you might be asking, so why didn't the referee review this? Well, it is just Super Rugby being extremely shit at delivering the product to the fans. That's what it is. Every week, every team, it's not just the Fijian Druas, it's not just, they're against Fijian players. Every week, there's tries being allowed and disallowed incorrectly because the TMO review process is non-existent. So what they're doing now is that if there's no clear evidence something had happened, they just don't look at it at all. That's what happened here. It's very difficult to see exactly what happened at full speed, and if there's no clear knock on here, they just don't bother looking at it at all. That's why this was not picked up at all. The commentary picked this up, but it was not picked up by the TMO. And this is not the first game. And it's not something that's just against the Endurers. It's throughout the entire season. All teams have suffered this issue. The Reds has got this issue. The Rebels had this issue as well, just from my memory. And the Endurers have suffered this a couple times as well. And it's just really, really bad product from Super Rugby, from Stan Sport to the fans. It's just atrocious. And the commentary is right. When things like this, when a decision like this is made, you need to communicate that to the players, to the fans watching. Why was this try given? You can't just sweep it under, right? If the referee said, well, I think the player had actually guarded the ball, had sufficiently enough guarded the ball, and then it was knocked out his hand, fair enough. If that's your decision, fair enough. But this was clearly not, he clearly did not have full control of the ball when it was knocked back. Should have been a knock on. But if that was your decision, fair enough. Let everybody know. That's your decision. You thought the ball was in control before it was knocked out. You have to communicate that to the fans. If you think a try is not scored as well, like last week, we saw a Fijian try was disallowed, you have to let everyone know. You think that the ball wasn't grounded correctly? You think that there was separation between the hands and the ball? Let everyone know. You can't just not say anything and just disallow the try. Or, in this case, not say anything and let the try stand. When everybody's wondering, what the hell is happening? Why is this knock on overlooked? It's really, really, really bad product for rugby. And this is not happening in Northern Hemisphere rugby. It's not happening in South Africa. It's just here in Australia and New Zealand. Because Super Rugby thinks that TMO taking time, making the correct decision, it's not something that the fans wants to see. It's a waste of time. It's atrocious. And I've been trying to tell this message to Rugby Australia. I've been trying to tag people on my Instagram with these videos as well. This just fallen to deaf ears. I don't know what to do. If you know somebody who watches, who's like working at Rugby Australia, please let them know. Please spread the message to people that can actually hear this. It's atrocious. Every week, I get messages in my comments saying that the referee's cheating because they've overlooked stupid things like this. Very obvious things like this. It's horrendous. Anyway, let's move on. So, Drua versus the Western Force. This was, to be honest, the Western Force came into this game with a really solid game plan. Kicking the ball into the Fijian Drua's 22, pinging him inside their own 22, and just playing the territory game and just saying like, hey, we're happy for you to run the full length of the field to try to score tries. The playmakers, Ben Donaldson and Curly Bill, made some really good decisions around the field to manage where the game is played with their kicking game as well, and with really, really smart kicking game. And just said, Drua, if you want to score, you got to score it from inside your 22. And normally, this will be something that is achievable for a team like Fijian Drua. But in the recent weeks, I just want you guys to tell me as well. This is something I've been wondering when I'm watching this game. When was the last time Fijian Drua actually taking a quick tap? Actually taking a quick tap. The Druas went from basically taking a quick tap like almost every penalty to almost never taking a quick tap. And I don't know what's going on with the coaching staff. They've taken what's the best part about the Fijians' attack, the loose, expansive style of attack, the chaotic speed that they bring to the game, and just completely throwing that out the window. And what made me literally laugh my head off at the coaching decisions from the Endurers was when the game was 17 points to 0 down for the Endurers, right? It's 20 minutes into the game. And instead of taking a quick tap, they decided to take 3 points. What's 3 points going to do when you're 17 points down? Like, why are you slowing the game down by taking the 3 points when your strength lies by speeding the game up, by running into your position, by taking faster decision making? That's something that really didn't make any sense to me. The one thing that really was a shining beacon for the Endurance performance tonight was the 4-pack and the scrummaging. The scrum was almost yielding a penalty every time. And then again, what are you doing when you get the penalty? Let's have a look around, guys. Definitely not take a quick tap. I mean, it would be a perfect opportunity to take quick taps after you get a scrum penalty, right? You just snowball that into another penalty, right? And then you just keep going. Something that made this Endurance famous. It's completely gone out the window. So I don't know what the coaching staff is doing in that regard. You can probably let me know if you have any ideas. But yeah, I don't know what else to say. It's there was one stat where I thought was really interesting as well. The Endurance went from running, averaging about 700, sometimes even 800 meters a game, to 400 meters a game. The run meters. Again, you let me know what is going on in the Enduro team, what is going on with the coaching stuff and the strategies, and why. And I just don't understand why the strength of the team is being completely thrown out of the window, and just and taking 3 points to try to win the game for a team that is world famous for running rugby, for running 60 meters, 70 meters to score tries, coast to coast tries. And this is a team that's known to be able to score tries from anywhere on the field. And this is a team that's milking penalties and trying to take 3 points. I don't know what's going on here, man. Anyway, let's have a look at the match stats. Like I've been talking about. The Endurers used to run 800, 700 meters per game, 415. The Western Force, 516 run meters. 13 turnovers conceded for the Western Force, 24 turnovers conceded for the Fijian Drua. Tackles made, 84 for the Endurers, 19 missed tackles. 180 tackles are made for the Western Force, 34 missed tackles. The kicking game for the Western Force was absolutely sublime. A really, really smart kicking. Really picking the Endurers inside that 22. 29 kicks in the game. Endurers 18. 100% conversion and kicking rate from Donaldson. Excellent. Well done for him. What's his name? Armstrong Ravola was pretty good in kicks as well. 2 out of 2. Lineouts, 3 lineouts lost for the Endurers. Out of 10. 0 out of 9 for the Western Force. The scrum, now the Western Force did not lose any of their own scrum feed, but the Endurers was basically getting a penalty every time. Almost every time they had the ball. It was overwhelmingly dominant for the Endurers when it comes to scrummaging. Also, the discipline was excellent for the Endurers. Only 5 penalties given away and 11 penalties given away by the Western Force. 1 yellow card to Nick White for, I think it was a repeated penalties or cynical, something like a repeated penalty, a cynical penalty, I think it was. But yeah, it was just, when you give away more than double the amount of penalties, and you can only have one opportunity, you have only one opportunity to kick a penalty goal, means that the Western Force is able to play the game in the correct parts of the field, right? If the penalties are all given away inside your own half, you're not going to be able to kick 3, whereas the Endurers, they only gave away 5 penalties, and the Western Force kicked 2 out of the 5 penalties. So, almost 40% of the penalties were given out from for the Fijian Drua were in the kicking range. And that is also something that the kicking game really starting to show the difference for the Western Force as well. So let's have a look at the overall recap of the game. Literally 1 minute into the game, the Western Force gets their first try on the ball. Jeremy Williams just ran down on the field, like dummy and go, and beat a bunch of defenders, and eventually he popped a little short ball to Tia, goes into the corner, 7 points to 0. 40 minutes into the game, there was a line out from the Western Force, a nice little line out move, a nice little pop from the hooker Horton to Hamish Stewart, who ran that little underslide crash ball center field, and the ball was basically picked and go by Tazano, who went in for the try. 14 points to 0. 19 minutes into the game, there was a penalty for the Western Force. They taken 3 points there. And then the Endurers had a few opportunities to come back. They were, not that clinical in their execution, not quite getting there, giving away, silly penalties and handling errors, not really converting any of those into points. Finally, 38 minutes into the game, Endurers decided to take 3 points from down by 17 points. Especially with the scrum dominance, I really think that anyway. Let's move on. I've already talked about that. Second half, 44 minutes into the game, the Drua has some really good energy come out of the second half. Some good, nice hands went down one side of the field, and then the ball spread down, crashed center field, and then more good hands down to the start with left-hand side of the field, came back to the right-hand side of the field, and Raul Tamanda went in for the try for the Endurers. First try and only try for Endurers, 10 points to 17. 50 minutes into the game, Nick White gets a yellow card, and this is starting to look good for the Endurers. The Endurers, was really trying to push for the tries. There was, again, instead of going, I think there was an issue as well. Instead of going for the scrum or going for the quick tap, like I said, instead of going for the quick tap from the penalties, they decided to just take the slow tap. And then there was a grubber kick behind that was not grounded properly, and it was a no try. And then eventually the Western Force was able to get out of jail, not conceding any points, despite having a player in the bin. 67 minutes into the game, Fai Fua for the Western Force going for the try. They still had a player in the bin at this point. There was a like I said, like you saw here, this was a clear knock on back into another Western Force player. A few passes between the players ran down the field, and Fai Fua was the one getting through for the try. Should not have been a try right there, but was pretty poor. 72 minutes into the game, there was the Fijian was trying to run out of their own half. The ball was knocked on from a big tackle, and the Western Force counter attack. Curtly Bill had the vision to see space out wide, quickly, threw the ball a long pass out wide, and the Western Force was running down the field. Some good support running, inside passes, and then Council went in for the sixth try at this point. Sixth try for the Western Force. 6 try for Western Force, 41 points to 0. And finally, 77 minutes into the game. Again, just some kicking game, keeping with Fijian Drua inside their own 22. Eventually, there was a line out inside the Fijian half, and the line out kind of went over the top. The ball, there was a backdoor ball to Donaldson, and it looked like Donaldson, normally when you get these backdoor passes, he's just going to throw it out wide. Donaldson just dummy and go, ran straight through the defense, down the sideline. Try, 48 points to 10 was the final score. Donaldson punted this one from the sideline as well. Really, really well done. And and that was the final part of the game. So pretty disappointing. Let me know what's going on with the Fijian coaches, and please, if you know anybody that can spread the message about the lack of TMO review after try scored. Please, because we're all sick of it. It's just awful product for any rugby fan to be watching. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later. Have a good week. Cheers.